In 2007, a Canadian company discovered a gold mine. Yes, a literal gold mine. Almost 500 kilometers north of Thunder Bay, this company's scientists discovered one of the largest untapped areas for rare earth metals in the world. Buried under their feet was tens of billions of dollars of critical minerals like chromite, cobalt, nickel, copper, platinum, and gold, resources the entire world is desperate for. It's called the Ring of Fire, and it could make Canada very rich. It would be life-changing for Northern Ontario towns, galvanized by thousands of paychecks and modern infrastructure. It would also help our First Nations become richer. It would boost our economy with billions of dollars, allowing us to become less dependent on the Americans after we start selling these resources to our friends and allies overseas. And it would turn dollars for dictators into paychecks for our people, no longer having to rely on Beijing for the metals that create our batteries, turbines, solar panels, and satellites. But you might be asking yourself a question at this point. We've known about the Ring of Fire for years, so why hasn't a single mine opened? Why hasn't a single road been built or a single worker handed a paycheck? The answer? The Liberals did everything in their power to keep these minerals in the ground. They've been sitting on Ring of Fire permits for 5 whole years. The process was started by former Liberal Environment Minister Wilkinson in February of 2020. After he did nothing for 3 years, Trudeau decided he needed a new minister. The man for the job, radical environmentalist Stephen Guilbeault, who made it even harder for us to get these resources out of the ground, and he's still in Mark Carney's cabinet. And then finally, 2 years after that, the Liberal government completed their work by creating yet another 2.5-year process that will only lead to another report on the pros and cons of mining activity in this area. That report, which will cost government and private industry alike, won't even say whether mining can take place. This in spite of the fact that the government of Ontario has already conducted similar studies on the exact same project. So now, after a decade of Liberal keep-it-in-the-ground ideology, the Ring of Fire is on the brink of collapse. Not to mention that the Liberal Bill C-69 makes projects like these very difficult, if not impossible, to get approved at all. Enough. This gatekeeping and red tape was devastating to Canada before Donald Trump threatened tariffs on our economy. Now it is an act of economic suicide. That's why I am announcing today that my government will set a goal to green-light all federal permits for the Ring of Fire in Northern Ontario within 6 months to harvest chromite, cobalt, nickel, copper, and platinum. We will also make a commitment of $1 billion over 3 years to the construction of a long overdue road connecting First Nations communities and the critical mineral deposits in the Ring of Fire to the Ontario Highway Network. We will let companies investing in the Ring of Fire pay a share of their federal corporate taxes to local First Nations. And as NATO has identified these critical minerals as essential towards our collective defense, some of our government's investments in this road and this project will count towards the calculation of Canada hitting its 2% of GDP expenditure on defense. We will make this money available by cutting back on wasteful foreign aid that often goes to dictators, terrorists, and global bureaucracies. We'll cut bureaucracy through attrition here at home, freeing up money for productive investments that create paychecks for our people and independence for our economy. Only a Canada First conservative government will rapidly approve projects like these. We'll quickly repeal C-69, the anti-resource law the Liberals still have in place. Only a conservative government will approve mines, pipelines, mills, LNG plants, more ports, and better export opportunities to diversify our economy and make us independent from the Americans. And by partnering with First Nations to deliver our world-class resources, we will bring home powerful paychecks for all Canadians. That's how we will put Canada first. Let's bring it home.